Go. If you can hear me or music right now, type in chat. I need to know that I'm live. Let's see myself here. Fantastic. Also, Maria's here. If you can hear me, Maria, can you please put in something in chat? I need to know that the sound is working, and then I'm going to check the sound again. And also, if you hear music, either you do or you don't. So we'll see. Put in what you do here, if you hear. And if you hear nothing, put that in too. So Maria, are you hearing music or are you hearing my voice or both? Just gonna see me like bobbing my head and doing this for the next couple hours. So sound check, peeps. I can hear you, but the music is not good. Makes sense. I don't think I have the internal stream, but good. If you can hear me now, you're probably gonna hear me better when I have the. See, there we go. You'll hear me even better in a couple of minutes when I put the mic on. So for those of you that know me and know that I like my scarves and all these sort of things, there's also a little bit of mic going on there. So hopefully you can hear me better than you're used to. Way worse. Okay. Well, let's see about this. And thank you, Maria. Pause that for a bit. Let's see if you can hear me now. Let's see, sound levels. How about now, Maria? Can you hear me better now? Really bad. Okay, well, let's see if it's better now. Now it looks like it's almost like too strong. So better? Is it good, Maria, or better? Is it too loud? I know I can be loud if I want to. Worse again. That's why we do the sound checks. Okay. So we have that. That should be that one. Sounds sort of good on my end, but you say it looks worse. Well, that's why we have these sort of spot checks. Thank you so much, Maria. You're amazing. So worse. Let's see. How would that work? Burkit. Let me just check something else here in the sound settings. Okay, the input, that should be fine. Let's just see if it goes through the correct mic though. Like if I speak here, can you hear me now or is it still Burkit? Is this amazing or is it Burkit? You see, like bad, really bad. If you're here, by the way, you're here live. Say hi, and then I can give you a shout out. So Maria says it's good. Okay, so let's see if this makes it worse. Amazing is good. I like amazing.
Thank you so much for that. So an important point though, can you hear me? Can you still hear me good now? Now it's a little bit hidden. I know there's a couple of seconds lag here in the chat and all these sort of things, so I just want to make sure that the sound is perfect. Not only so you can hear me, but this is a live recording of the course, peeps. This is, I want the sound to be perfect so you can hear me. It's worse. Okay. Let's see how I would do that in a good way. So how's it worse? Is it worse because the volume is low or because it's like scratchy? Like jump on a video call or something like that before streaming to the world, but that's why we're here. So if you just join us, by the way, we're filming a course in a little bit, just sound checking. So Victoria says it sounds better. Now it's better. Okay, so it's better when it's out here, when I'm holding the actual mic out. But what you're saying is that I want to test this again because I recorded myself with the mic before and it sounded good. So what you're saying is that now you can't hear me as good as you would like to. So basically what you're saying, Henrik, is like ditch the scarf. Just want to double check one more time. I think there's like a 10 or 20 or 30 second lag or something like that with the, it's fine. Fine is good. Is it disturbing is really the big point. I also know that when I get excited, I can speak louder. So funkar, but is it good enough? That's really the big thing. It works, but it's not amazing, but it works. My big thing is like, if I do a full course on this, is the audio good enough for me to be heard? Not disturbing, fantastic. In that case, I have a setup that works. So very, very happy. Helt okay? Okay. It's I prefer like amazing and big words like that, but helt okay, I'll take helt okay. Let me know if there's something I can do to make it better though. You said that it was better when I held it out in front of my face, right? So I wonder if I can tweak it. I'll strip for you girls and is it better now that it's not covered up? We'll see. Ba-bum, ba-bum. A little bit of a lag. Because if it's not, like I like my scarf. It's amazing now. Okay, so the scarf is... Okay, let's see if I can do a double here. Maria says speak, like start training. Well, we're going to start training when I make sure that the settings is correct. Then we're going to switch to a camera that's actually over there. This is the secret camera over here. So you want me to ditch the mic, Maria? Is that what you're saying? Speak, ditch it. Oh, ditch the scarf. Is that what you're saying? Maria. Okay, I know what you're saying. Okay, great. So ditch the scarf. Fantastic. I'm going to see if I can double dribble here because I like my scarf. It's just like one of the things I do. So if I do this and I put it, it's black, so it'll blend in anyway, sort of thing. Yeah, when you said like ditch the mic, I was a little bit worried. So let's see if I can actually do the same thing just with this here. Probably even more to the side. So Maria, how is it now? Can I have the scarf and the mic at the same time? Sound check. If you're just joining us, by the way, we'll do the initial sound check here. I'm waiting for the go-ahead from the ladies because the ladies know me and know what I'm sort of capable of. Perfect, Maria says. You know what? I'm so happy. Maria and Victoria and who else is on here? I think Josephine was on here too. Thank you. Amazingly good. I'll take amazingly good when I'm filming my course. Very, very excited. Are there any questions that you girls have up front for the course, for the schedule, for anything like that? Is there anything you want me to know before I actually get to the training? We're going to do some Q&As after the training. That's going to be probably answering a lot of questions that people have about the training. But here's an opportunity too. Like here's like our hangout. If you've been part of the sprint, you know about our hangout. And then we sort of get to do the training. And then I won't answer comments live sort of thing. And then I'll be recording it as if I'm speaking to the person that's going to watch the course. So that is awesome. Fantastic. It's live over there. Let me just check one more thing, and then I think I'm just about to be done. There we go. Cool. So yeah, I'm thinking pretty well set up. Pretty well set up. We can take that away. And we have the, okay, so big deal here with the connection is there. Sound is perfect. Okay. I think we're good. I wonder if I'm actually going to close off Facebook so I don't get like notifications and stuff like that. I'll still see your comments though. So please keep commenting. I'll give a little bit direction in the course too, because I want everyone to have that, but like stay engaged, make this a party. Like I want this to be a party, and when I'm doing it with you, it's such a different way because I get to share it with my friends and my students and the people that I can help, right? And I want to have that pitch and catch all the way throughout. So for the Q&As, like even if I can't see the comments like all the time, or I'm pretending to look away, go like, cheer me on. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm like more excited probably than nervous, but it's good. So Victoria says, how long is the training now? I aim to make the modules around an hour. Some of them might be a little bit longer, some of them might be a little bit shorter. I'll speak until I'm done, if you will, until I'm like covering what I want to have said. So I won't like cut it off before I'm done, but it won't be like too long. So Victoria says, we are okay. Do you see my name? I do. 100% do. So yeah, I think I'm just about to be done. Okay, can I get some hype in chat? Can you like girls send me some energy and you know, before going on? Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Excitement. So we have it there. It's streaming. We have the chat. We have the notes. Which is the biggest? Oh, actually, big important part here. Here's what you girls get to see. And you get to see the guide too. I'm here. Cool. I think we're just about to be done. Be done. Fantastic. So let's get to it. And we have that. Great. I see myself in miniature here. It's funny, like this like all the software stuff is all new. Doing it the virtual way. The live training, not so much. Okay, are you excited for me? Can you get some hype with the excitement? Awesome. Love it. Actually, last check, video check, is like when I'm seeing here. Do you see what I see basically? You see until here, and you see me. So like everything that I'm seeing, you're seeing. Is it too bright? Is it too dark? Is there something you're not seeing? You don't need to read all the text everywhere, but are there parts you're not seeing? Victoria goes like, start, dude. Fantastic, let's do it. There we go. Cool. Cool, there we go. Hey everyone, and welcome to Perfect Habit Masterclass. I'm Henrik Nordenstedt, and I teach on something called the Exponential Life. And I have been traveling around the world for a good 10 years now, helping people all over the place from all walks of life to get results that actually ends up in their life. Some of my students, you've met me on the tour, if you will, out there in seminars. And I've spent a good 7,000 hours at this point with Tony alone, but that's just like part of what I do. So we're here today to talk about how do you create perfect habits and how do you create habits that actually end up in your life. And I don't know about you, but like habits has been one of those like super simple things and super valuable things that I used to struggle a lot with. And that's what I keep hearing from my clients and my students and people I meet out in seminars as well, which is, how do you actually get it to stick? And like, I fall off the wagon after like a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and I don't have the I can't do this for like 30 days or 40 days or something like that. So the first thing I want you to know is, if you're here right now, you're in the right place. I don't teach theory. What that means is that my role when I do seminars and when I teach and when I train internationally on stages all over the world is that my job is to have something that works end up in your life. Okay? So if I teach a bunch of steps and after the steps, the result is not there, then there's something missing. And my skill set is really, how do you get this to work for like normal people, not just the world-class stars and the, tenacity-driven willpower monsters, right? But like, how do you do this for single moms or like busy professionals that don't have time? What do you do when you're overwhelmed? What do you do when you're trying to do, like, get everything in at once? Maybe you're someone who's into personal development and we just like something that works. Is that okay if we deliver something that just works? So the promise for this masterclass is to go through a framework that is a little bit of a new way of how to build habits that stick. This has been battle tested with tens of thousands of people, and it has to work now. It's not something that we'll see in 30 days if it worked or not. So the promise of this course is that by the end of this course, you'll have habit and clarity on what habit you sort of want to build. You'll have a full roadmap for how to get there, and you'll have all your questions answered about the getting habits done. Are you hyped and excited for getting your habit done? I'm super excited to share this because when I started out, as I said before, this was not one of my fortes. In fact, I remember I was in like a broke university student. I studied engineering, and I've been traveling for a long time, and I came back, I got into personal development, and I got so smitten on the idea of having like a morning habit that worked. I wanted to exercise in the morning. I wanted to plan my day. I wanted to, leaders are readers, and I went on to I want to create all this habit, because if I had this one habit in place, my life would be so good. And I think that lasted like a day, because I set up this like 3-hour habit of everything, like smash it all in there in one place. And it didn't work. And I got a little bit discouraged, so I took off some of the load. I'd be like, let me just do this for an hour. And that didn't work. And I felt really bad about myself. I can't even do this. I see people doing this and having great success, but why can't I do it? And I took that down to like 30 minutes. 30 minutes I can do, and I flunked that one too. And I couldn't understand what was wrong. And I was entering a time in my studies where I was going into my thesis, okay? So we're doing research. That's like the last thing you do in university. And I remember being very frustrated because I knew that I was studying 150%, and now there was the thesis too. I had no time. And there would be no more time. I would basically lock myself in the basement for the next 6 months. So I got a little bit depressed. It was winter in Sweden too. It didn't make that better. But what I started looking into was like, how can I make this work for me? I don't even have the time for a 30-minute thing. But like, how can I introduce some form of exercise or something, like a little habit that would work? And what I didn't tell you was that I was trying to finish my studies so I could go out and be successful, like start my career. But the truth is that I was scared and a little bit confused because I was coming to the end of a very like predefined road. You're supposed to go to university. You're supposed to like learn and know it all. And then the prescribed road sort of ends, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life and with my career and choices. So I was like procrastinating a little bit there too. But it was really like a little bit driven by fear. So I was not in a good place. Let's just put it like that. I was stressed and overwhelmed, and I just wanted to get something that worked so I could go through this 6 months. I just wanted to travel, really. Like I had the travel bug, if you ever had the travel bug. But I just wanted to sort of make it through and willpower my way through the 6 months, and in that case I'll be good. So I started doing a 15-minute habit, and it wasn't a 15-minute pro habit. I was like, I don't have time for any habit. But I know I wanted to listen to some of the personal development programs that I've sort of fallen in love with. And I remember listening to a tape by Tony Robbins, and I would go out for a walk. And that would be my exercise and all the habits I had the time for, because for the rest of the day and for the rest of the night, I would be busy with my thesis and getting things done and I was writing with a girl at the time. What was interesting was that as I went on my morning walk, I started getting a little bit more energy. Like in the beginning, it sort of sucked. It was cold, it was early, and I was like, oh, I've like a willpower my way to do it. But within like 2 or 3 days, and because it was so small, I didn't feel resistance at all. And in fact, within a week, the alarm would ring and my body would go like, well, let's go. I would be like a little bit surprised because I used to feel a lot of resistance there. But what's interesting was that how that translated to the rest of my life, because I started feeling more energy and feeling more, I got going earlier in the day, but then I started feeling more energy throughout the day. I was more focused. And as I was more focused, I got better results in school. So I got more done throughout the day. And for me, that fascinated me because that was never the plan. My plan was just to do something so I wouldn't get fat for 6 months. That was the grand plan. But as I kept walking, I started like building more and more energy, and that translated to more and more results in my studies and in my life. And what was even more interesting was how that affected me emotionally. So I started asking for things and being more certain about what I wanted, which if you remember, like I came from a place of fear and not knowing anything. And just paid attention and like started noticing some of those things. And one of those outrageous things was me asking my dean, so the head of our faculty, and saying that I want to do my thesis abroad. And he just looked at me like I was crazy. He'd be like, we've never done that before. There's like, sorry, right? And I was like, well, that's what I want. And a week later, he called me and he said that, well, we started a conversation with this university in South Africa. We're thinking of having a pilot, like a first test for someone to go down there. Would you like to be that pilot? Would you like to travel and do your thesis? I was like, yes. I didn't care about the topic or anything like that, but if I can travel, I'm in. But now there was the next problem. The next problem was that I was traveling I think it was like 6 weeks or something like that. And I didn't have any money. Like this wasn't a free ticket. This was like, we have a connection, now you can do it. But now I need to find the money. I didn't know how to do that. So I asked my handler, my mentor, if you will, about like, how do you find money? Because I didn't have time to work. Like, what do you do if you're in academia, right? He was like, well, some people, they apply for grants and scholarships and that kind of thing. I was like, will you help me? And he was like, no. Like, I'll give you a couple of hints, but like do the work for you, not so much. Right? So what ended up happening was that part of my morning went from 15 minutes to starting writing out some of these scholarships and started, like, I remember this, it was like this super big book, it was a brick is too small. Like it was like this thick, and with all the scholarships and the grants in it. And I would spend, after coming home from my my morning walk, I would spend like 10 or 15 minutes getting the scholarships done, sending them off into the distance. And I started getting pingbacks, like pigeon mail, envelopes with papers in them, if you remember those sort of things. And I would like get notes, like, sorry, this doesn't work, it's the wrong time, all these sort of things. But where I was at that time, I'd be like, well, I need to do more applications. So I just like kept cranking it out. And it started feeling pretty good. And now, who knows? Like there was another couple of weeks before I was traveling. But I was just like doing the thing that could potentially lead me there. And I started like building this momentum, and not because I was so great or so good, but because I had sort of Tony in my ear, so I needed to listen to that sometimes, and I went out for a walk. And now there was another 15 minutes where I was like applying before school. And I started building this momentum to the point where the girl that I was doing the thesis with, she started getting a little bit anxious because she would ask me like, Henrik, how was your morning? And I was like, well, I've gone for the walk. I started jogging a little bit. I sent away 10 scholarships. I meal prepped. I planned my day. I did all these sort of things because I started feeling that pull. And again, it surprised me as much as her. But with her, that led to some anxiety because she just rolled out of bed. And I just got more done before school than she would do in that day. Sort of like building the momentum. And I remember the one day where it all sort of happened. I got a pigeon mail again. It was an envelope with a piece of paper in it. And I opened it and, curious about what it was. It was unmarked. And it said, like, congratulations, you've received a scholarship. I get like emotional thinking about it. It's like, mission is a go. So excited, so blessed. Wow, like emotions. But like, it was so cool because like now I got to do it the way that I wanted to. It was really, really cool. So the feeling was fantastic. And now like this could get done, right? So at this point, I'd started like running, started exercising, started building even more energy, and the more energy I had, the more momentum I had in my education, and the better relationships I had, and all these sort of things started having this really cool compounding effect. And it ended up translating to me and this girl. We traveled all over the world. So she traveled to the US, I traveled to South Africa, and we did a tri-national study where I was out in townships in South Africa interviewing people, and some of the most beautiful people I've ever met. And I was sponsored to. So I got to travel and I got my thesis. What was even cooler was that because of the momentum I had, we allocated 2.5 months to get it done. It got done in 6 weeks. So like I didn't have my ticket back for another 4 weeks. So what ended up happening was that I was surfing basically in South Africa in the mornings. I was writing my thesis in coffee shops. People came out of the woodwork to talk to me, and I couldn't really figure out why. There was something about my energy, and if you're a young guy, to have like girls come up to you, that was pretty cool. But it was new to me. Like for me, I was always like, I need to do something. I need to walk up. But now I was at this point where things started coming to me, including getting emails of like another scholarship, which was pretty cool. And then another one, and then another one. I got 6 scholarships I was already funded, but with the 6 scholarships, we could not sort of like do it in style, but actually like do it really well. But it was really, a little bit of a weird experience because of the momentum that you set up in the beginning, like the rewards just started coming. And I started referring to that as bending reality, where you no longer, like the momentum is so high that now things start to come to you. I don't know if you ever felt that before, where you've been in the zone, where you've been in total flow, and the right person just like reaches out to you. Clients just sign up out of the woodwork. Or, all of a sudden your kid is just like engaging with you, where there used to be so much friction. So it was a super cool time for me. And I started referring to that as the exponential life. And it really came from this sort of very simple habit that I started building that compounded and built upon itself. It started out so small, but now I was like running an hour a day, and I was like crushing it in school, and sort of like 2 and 3x what I thought I would do, and getting things done quicker and quicker and quicker. And the way, and the vehicle, if you will, that got me there was something that I call the core habit, which is the engine that built all the resources and all these sort of things that I now had in my life. It was not a morning habit or getting fit or something like that. That was a nice result. But the habit was building my capacity. And with that capacity, in my mind, magic started happening. And that got me really excited. But yet the coolest part for me was that I started out from a place of fear and uncertainty and not knowing what to do with my life. And there in South Africa, and for a long time after that, I felt this like deep certainty about what I wanted. And I was like I'm not asking, like that sort of place, like a center, a core. And for me, that was new because I never felt like that before. I never felt I was so clear about what I wanted, and that I could be so much of myself with other people. I always wanted to be the person to do the right thing because I wanted other people to like me. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to, get good grades. So I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And now I was in this place where I was doing everything that I wanted to do, and it was working. I can't tell you the excitement. I hope you can see that in my face, the excitement of that. So for me, the core habit was really all about it was the habit that brought me home. And I can get very romantic about that. My students know that I'm a big softie when it comes to big emotional wins. But even as I think back on that time, that was one of the biggest wins that I've ever felt in my life, in the contrast. And I'm also very clear that that wasn't luck. It wasn't something that I stumbled upon. It was something that was built. And that's what I call the core habit, which is the habit that will get you to the exponential life. Okay. So that's going to be the little topic for today. For the rest of the next couple of modules, we'll be covering how to get there and the perfect habit strategy and all these other sort of tips and tricks and tools of how to get there. But for now, we need to get super clear on what's a core habit. Now, what makes a core habit different is that it's something that builds capacity. You're not going for a result. You'll get results, but the point of the habit is to get into your core and to build capacity. Because when you have more energy, the things you want to do in your life comes easier. You have more fuel now. Your battery's bigger. And what I call bending reality is you don't even have a battery anymore. You're plugged into the wall and things start coming to you. And it's about building the vehicle that will get you there. See, what most people do when they try to build a habit is that they have something they want. They have a result. So say you want to lose a couple of pounds, right? Or get fit for the summer, or make more money in business. There's a result that people want. Because it's such low-hanging fruit, let's go for the fitness example and losing a couple of pounds. And then one of the things you can do is that you can create a habit, because if you're going to be doing something over and over again, it's a way that the brain makes you more energy efficient. Takes away all the decision making because it notices that you're just going to do this thing over and over again. So let's just here you go, let's automate this for you. And because it's clear, it's easy for the mind to get the results. And it's also the biggest stumbling block that people have around habits, at least the people that I talk to, and the biggest stumbling block that I used to have, if you remember from my story. I wanted the result. And to get the result, I needed to work out for 30 minutes every day or an hour or something like that. Because that's what's going to get me fit. That's what's going to make me lose some pounds. Does that make sense? But in shooting for the result and sort of doing so much, if you will, you created this big wall for myself to actually execute and for me to get into the habit. So by focusing on the result, you miss out on this part. Now we'll explain that tomorrow, how it all links together. But does that make sense to you? If you wanted to build a habit, if you didn't care about the result, you wanted to build a habit, and this was the thing you wanted, maybe you wouldn't have to do it with so much resistance. Why? Because resistance isn't helping you create the habit. Maybe you wouldn't have to be so hard on yourself when it's not going so well. Why? Well, because being hard on yourself isn't helping you create your habit, right? You see where this is going? So if you want to build a habit that works, we need to focus on building the habit, and then the habit will give you the result. Does that make sense? It does, right? You build the habit, and then the habit builds you. Now, how I think about the core habit, because we can apply this to any result, right? We want to lose some pounds, we want to make more money in our business. There's a bunch of habits that would help to that end. Now, the core habit The core habit is something that will lead you to the exponential life. Okay, so if we're going to call the result, and not my version, like your version of an exponential life. Do you agree that there are some habits that will help you to maximize your capacity? You know, like for example, have more energy, or feel less stressed and more grateful. Will some of those things help you in whatever you wanted to do in your life? Yeah, and that's what we call a core habit. So just real quick, I want to cover like some differences and major key differences between a morning habit and the core habit, because you might want to ask, or you might be asking, Henrik, you just did a walk in the morning, isn't that a morning habit? And a core habit is something that you can do in the morning, but you don't have to. Okay? You can do this at lunchtime. You can do this after work if you want to. But as long as it gets done, you're building that capacity. Now, if you do it in the morning, you'll have that throughout the day. For example, the energy, if you did some light exercise in the morning, you would have that energy for the rest of that day. Okay? Could be a good thing. But also, if you're like a busy mom or something like that, and like I deal with my kids in the morning, there is no time and I can't leave them in the house and go out and do stuff, then maybe lunch is better, or taking the kids with you, or like find a way that works. But the biggest difference is that the core habit is not something you have to do in the morning. Now, the other part is that the morning habit is typically something people do to get something, like to do to lose some pounds or to get fit. And with any result, there's usually an end to it. Okay, when I've lost 20 pounds, when I have, I'm at this place, when I can meditate for 30 minutes, whatever that is, a result is like a point in the universe. It's like static. Whereas a core habit, what you're doing is that you're continuously building capacity. Okay, so let me just explain real quick what I mean when I say capacity. Instead of I want to lift 100 kilos on a bench press, what I'm talking about is like capacity is like I want to build more energy. Because I believe if I have more energy, then I'll be able to do more things, including lift heavier weights. Now, what's cool about that is that there's so many ways to build more energy. And what I started out by doing was like, well, I want to go for a walk because I get outside, I get out of bed. I'm building the energy so now I have a higher metabolism for the day. And also, for me, I was listening to personal development. I was using that time for something that I was interested in. And for me, as I got over the little hump of getting out of bed, that was something that was sort of pleasurable to me and something that I liked. We'll talk about that more tomorrow and the importance of that. But for now, the core habit is something you do to build capacity. So right now, ask yourself and put down a couple of notes, like what would be a couple of components of your core habit? Be mindful not to make that an activity. So it's not like gym, meditation. It's like, no, like I want more energy. Okay, great. I want to work on being more emotionally fit too. If I can do that and have a habit for that, I believe that as my life goes on, I will build that muscle too. Okay, so you're building the capacity. Now, the core habit is super cool on its own when you do it for that day, because if you have a habit that gives you more, say, energy, and you're working on doing something for your emotions, whether that is meditation or incantations or visualizations, whatever that is for you, journaling, and say you wanted to, like I'm going to think of 3 things I'm going to do today. With a simple habit like that, done over time, the rewards are absolutely astronomical. They're enormous. Because every single day you get more energy, and you'll come to the point where you wake up with more energy than you used to have after doing the habit. Like you'll just have more before you even started. Okay, that's the premise of this. That's why it's so important. But also what's important, like how this is possible, the little hockey stick here in the exponential life, is that when you do this over time, your results compound. Okay, it's a big word. Exponential life, it's a big word. Exponential what? Exponential life. The only thing it means is that your results come faster and faster and faster. Because when you work on building the energy, now you have more energy in your business. When you have more energy in your business, you have a tendency to get more done or a higher quality result. When you have a higher quality result, you feel better. Now your emotional life is better. And when your emotional life is better, you know what? You have more energy. And it's just like there's this like pinball thing going on. That's why I call it exponential, because it accelerates. It's almost like the butterfly effect. You do this little thing over here and then your results explode. And what we're going to be covering in the Perfect Habits Masterclass is like, how do you get there? And if you have some habits that you want to do, other habits, it will work for that too. Don't worry about it. But I want to tell you why I'm so big on the core habit, because it is something that has not only helped me achieve great things in life and sort of with myself and other people at this point, but it's something that really helped me come home. And that is something that I'm very romantic about, because I used to be the guy that had to be perfect and nothing was ever good enough. And I was working my ass off, because if I didn't have what I wanted in life, that meant that I wasn't doing enough. That was my model of the world. But my tank was running on empty. Okay, so that's why I'm very passionate about this, because when you can take care of the whole filling up your tank and making sure that you have the resources to do what you need to do, the results are sort of easy. The results are just steps. But most people don't talk about this. They'd be like, just take the steps. But if you don't have energy, it's going to be really hard. It's going to feel really hard, or harder than it has to. Hope that makes sense for everyone. So I have a little bit of a painful story around habits. It's a short one. It was a story with Tony Robbins. And we were in a smaller, a little bit more intimate setting. And he was going through a concept that he was teaching. And I didn't understand all of it. So I raised my hand and I got called on. And, he, prompted me to ask my question, and I did. And then he started explaining. And then I did something that you probably shouldn't do. I was like, no, Tony, like that part I understand. I understand what you're talking about now. It's the other part that I don't understand and need more clarification on. And the room sort of goes silent. I was like noticing my mistake too late. So Tony turns to me and says like, oh, so you know that part, do you? Okay, let me ask you this. Are you doing it? It's a little bit of a painful moment for me, because I was in a room with 100 people looking at me. I was standing up. And one of the people I respect the most in this world for what he's done for this world just called me on my shit. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then he proceeded to say some words that I'll never forget, and some words that I want to impart on you. And please write this down. If you're not doing it, what do you know? Like, big words. And I remember that for, first of all, the pain of it, the suck of the moment. But it's something that I've really been thinking a lot about, because I can speak about a lot of great things, but if I'm not doing it, if it's not in my life, then, I can say it's important, but it obviously isn't that important if it's not in my life, if that makes sense. The reason I bring this story up is that there's a lot of people that I engage with that know a lot about habits. They've read all the books, as have I, right? And they've done some courses. Some of them are even coaching other people on how to do it, and their clients are getting results. But if there's not a habit that's in your life right now, like that a habit would be good to whatever end, core habit or otherwise, and it's not part of your life, please listen to this course and take notes with fresh eyes. Okay? No need to guilt about anything. But what I'm here to give you a perspective on is how you can get the thing that you say is so important, and how to get there without the suck and the resistance, and to get there in a pretty painless way. Now, if you can get this in a very painless way, and as a consequence of that, get an exponential life, I'd say that's a pretty fair deal. Okay? Hope that makes sense. So how to get the most out of this course? Take notes like crazy. If you haven't already, if you don't have pen and paper in front of you, get it. You also want to engage and be active, because that's really important in learning, because the emotional state we're in, it gets attached to what we learn. So if you're like lounging around and being like, and you listen to some really important things, what your like body will remember is like this sort of thing. It's nice, makes sense, right? Whereas if you hear a bit, oh my God, going nuts, then you link that to what you're learning. Okay, in this case, it's something really important. Okay, so I want to bring up something really important. Most of you don't know this, but I've been coaching people for like 7 or 8 years in my own business, and longer before that, because I like telling people what to do. But it's not my first rodeo. I've spent a lot of time hashing this out with real people, not just the successful Usain Bolts of the world, the people going fastest and the world champions and the heroes and all these sort of things, but with real people. And the only thing that I care about is, does it work? And if it doesn't work, I don't care about it. I'll give you a framework for something that I've used with all of my clients. All of them know this. But at the end of the day, like, you need to apply it to your life, and then you need to adapt it to what makes it work for you. Anyone that I've taken through this framework has been able to get there. Simple. Okay. If that is you, I will leave only up to you, and I'm here to answer all the questions you have about that. Okay. But I want to make sure that before like going into the weeds and the strategies and all these sort of things, is that know that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do something really hard for 30 days, which is basically what we know when building habits. And you don't have to take my word for it. You get to experience this in your own life. And the only thing that I care about is it working? Because when I engage with people live in seminars all over the world, I typically get to speak with people when they already have all the information. You can be a big speaker on stage that explained and laid it all out. But the question is like, how do I make this work for me? And my guess, if you're listening to this, to any class on building habits, you probably think and believe congruently that having habits and being able to build habits is an important thing, is an important skill. And I would agree. But also, after you have all the information, like, how do we make it stick and how do you make it yours? And that's really what we're going to be covering here in a big way. And the promise of the core habit is that it's going to lead you to something that I call the exponential life. And that is what I center all my teachings around. It's a place where you don't have to be better, because being better, per definition, means basically being someone else. Okay? We want to make you better. But, I wish I could be better. It's like playing the wrong game. It's also a place where we, like all my students know this, show me. We don't talk theory here. Like, we practice and we see what works, and we throw away what doesn't work. So as we go through this journey, I want you to see this as a new perspective and a new way of building habits, and building some really important ones, because it's going to be your habit. Another key habit, I thought I forgot to say this, with a morning habit, is that there's not a core habit. It's always your core habit, or my core habit. Why do you think that is? Why do you think let's just take someone else's habit, use that? Well, the answer is because if what we want is our own version of an exponential life, a life that is meaningful to us, where we spend our time doing things that are important to the world, no, to us. For that to happen, we have, what's important to us is very personal. And because of that, the habit that's going to take you there is going to be personal to you. But some of the components are probably going to be there. Would you feel better if you have more energy? Probably, right? A lot of us would like to feel more happiness and joy and excitement and determination, and less of the stress and the depression and the shutdown and the fear and the uncertainty. Yeah. So some of these components are probably going to be very similar, but you get to do it in your way, in a way that works for you. Because one thing that I noticed in building habits was that I tried to do everyone else's habit. Do you know why that didn't work for me? Because it was everyone else's habit. And Because here's another trick to the game. If you've been reading up and learning about personal development, and you know that Jeff Bezos has this morning routine, or here's what Tony does, that is and can be a useful thing to model. Here's what the most successful people in the world are doing. But the question I want you to ask is, how did they get there? Because chances is that they did not get to that habit by doing the thing they're currently doing. It's a little bit like if you're going into the gym, and in my younger and more bench pressy years, I could put on 100 kilos on the bench press. I haven't lifted weights like that for quite some time. If I want to get into the gym to lift like heavy weights again, is it smart for me to go on and rack on 100 kilos and start pushing the first day and then do that for 30 days? Because if I do that for 30 days, then I'll have the habit, right? Of course not. I'm going to get injured. I'm going to get hurt. Even if I don't get injured in the first day or the second day, I'm going to be sore as hell. It's not going to be pleasant at all. So if that is true, does it make sense that when we start out with this like grand habit that someone else is doing, Guru X, does it make sense that there might be another path to get there? We'll be covering that part. And we'll be covering that part tomorrow when we talk about the perfect habit strategy. Okay, so very, very excited. So to sort of summarize a little bit, core habit is something that will lead you to the exponential life. And it's something that is intimately yours. It will also bring you home because you'll start your day and operate from a place that you feel good about, and where you start out from your own platform where you don't have to be someone else. So it's also a vehicle for like authenticity, for your own wants and your own needs. And starting from a great place, whether you do it in the morning, you do it at lunch, you do it at night, you have that like anchor point. This is what gets you into your own body and into your own things. This right here is what makes a dream work. It's also the number one thing. I know I keep hashing on by the importance of the core habit, but also like end with this, I'll give you an example, and then we get off to some homework, right? So this is the one thing that I tell all my clients. This is my cure-all. I work with high-level XX. I work with single moms. It doesn't matter who you are. If you want to lose weight, core habit. If you want to gain weight, core habit. If you're depressed, core habit. We'll take care of it. If you want to make more money, core habit. Do you see where this is going? I want to be a better dad. Core habit. Because where is that happening? So much of our time is being spent in personal development with plans and steps, and like if I just like plan out my life in detail, then it will be that way. What we're talking about is like what will get you there, and that's what we're going to build. So very, very excited to share this with you. This is the first time it's been out in public and not in my sort of secret stash of techniques, and now I get to share with you. So thank you for listening to it. I'm very, very excited. I want to tell you about one of my students. Her name is Lotta, because I want to give you like a real example, so it's not some airy-fairy like pie in the sky statement. Like, does this really work? So Lotta started taking on some of my trainings a couple of months ago, and we started talking about habits. And I told her, okay, I'm like, I don't want to divulge too much about what's coming, but let's just say that I told her to do something very simple in the morning, okay? And she did. And she'd been struggling to get into a habit and like working with her body and to have that time for herself for a long time. And now she did something simple that she liked. And you know what she did? She rebelled on me. I told her to do something simple and then basically like go for a walk, right? And then what she did, you know what she did? 5 days in, she started jogging. Now, I didn't tell her to start jogging. And in fact, she didn't want to tell me because she broke the rules, right? But what I want you to get is like when you want to do something, that's a really good place. I was celebrating a lot. I think she was amazing. And at this point, I can't take that habit away from her if I wanted to. Tony Robbins or another guru can be like, this doesn't work. And she'll be like, I don't care. Like, I like it and it works for me. Because she knows. It's not theory for her. And the most beautiful thing that I've heard from Lotta was this. She says like she loved the habit that she was building. I was really happy for her. And I was like, well, so what do you like the most? She was like, you know what? I spend my entire day taking care of other people. I have 2 kids. I'm a counselor at a school, so like I work with people and help them all day. I'm a really busy person. This time in the morning is the only time I have for myself. I cherish this time like nothing else. I prioritize this time over anything else because it just makes me feel so damn good. And for a moment, there's like peace. And then when I've done my habit, the rest of the day goes better. And then when I start like building these days, like one after the other, my life is getting better. And you know what's cool, Henrik? It does not take a lot of effort. I like doing this. I'll be like, yes, so good. So there's a lot for you. Incredible. But what I want you to know is that that's what I want you to have. I want you to have like a habit, any habit that you want to build now or later. But a habit like, I want to do this. This feels good to me. Because if you can do that, you can start simple and do that. This is easy. Getting the habit. When the habit is in place, the results are so easy. It's taking all the steps you need to take, only with more energy, less stress, more focus, more people around you, like with all the juicy stuff. And then exponential life is something that just happens. And it's very simple, and it starts here. So if you're hearing me right now, I'm very, very excited for you because this has been a topic that a lot of people, including myself, have struggled with for a very long time. And you're about to see another way of doing it, that you can do it with flow, with no resistance, per definition, and doing something that is really yours. And that will give you something that is not only beneficial to your life, but what many people and my students tell me is that it brings them closer to themselves. You don't have to unless you really want to, but it's a cool side effect. You're not as hard on yourself as you used to be. You're a better friend to yourself than you used to be. And it all starts here. So in the next module, we're going to be covering the perfect habit strategy, which is really, how do you get there? We're going to be painting a roadmap for you so you see every single step of the way. And you get to discover why doesn't the old way work so well. And you'll see it clearly. You'll be like, wow, yeah, I've done some of that. And also, you get to explore and you'll see the roadmap and be like, huh, that actually makes a lot of sense. And in fact, if you have any habit that you really like, you're probably going to find that you've done that before too. So my job is to show up in the next session and take you through the how you can get this into your life. And it all starts with the core habit. So for right now, write down on a piece of paper, what's a couple of capacity building pieces? Like, I would like to have more energy. If I had more energy every single day, I'd just like more and more, that'd be good. Like, yeah, like the emotional piece makes sense. If I could be like more happy and less stressed, more grateful, that would help me a lot. Huh, great, like put that down. You don't have to have a clear picture. And because we'll be covering through how you can go there step by step. And the core habit is not something that's like fixed in the universe, like here's what you have to do. This is something that tomorrow we get to explore, where you start doing something that just feels really good. And then it's so easy to build it from there. So with that, I'm super excited for the next session on the perfect habit strategy. So be excited, show up for that, and let's get your habits into your life. Hello, peeps. Oh, I see all your comments. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Do you still hear me? I think you still hear me. Let's see. Oh, hey, Samantha. Good to see you. Love these concepts. Take the pressure off reducing self-sabotage. 100%, Samantha. In a big way. in such a big way. Let's see. Let's go to the top here. So we have fantastic. There you go. There we go. So first of all, I want to ask you, like, how was that? Was this new? Did you know all this stuff already? I know that some people in the 6-week sprint, you've been privy to some of this, but probably not in these terms, and probably not some of the story. So I'm curious to hear what you thought, and if it was clear for you why the core habit is sort of a good idea, and if it's clear for you some of the benefits, which is really the big point I wanted to make in this training. So we'll go to the Q&A in a little bit, stack up some questions you have and some feedback for me, like what was great and like, what are some of the questions you wanted to have answered. We'll cover like a lot of them in the modules going forward, but yeah. So Anna says, absolutely fan of win the morning, win the day. Yes, mindset you've created and teach, 100%. It's something that I like to say, but I don't want to make it into something that people have to do in the morning. Like if they don't do it in the morning, they can't do it. But I agree with you, Anna. If you win the morning, you win the day. Absolutely. I see, there's someone, a Facebook user. You need to go to the link. I'll see if I can send it through here. Otherwise, Anna, if you're still here, can you send the link to the permissions sort of thing? That'd be amazing. Because what that will do is allow me to see your names and your face too. So we have, totally agree, amazing story and just what I need to hear today. Thank you. Samantha, my pleasure. Makes total sense. Yes, you're going direct. The result is a byproduct. Yes. Isn't that weird, by the way, that sometimes when you aim for the result, you miss the point? Or now you're stuck to like manually carrying water, like manual labor? One of the biggest tricks is that you build your habit and the habit builds you. And when you have your habits as the thing you're building, you'll do it in a whole different way. So playing a game you can win. Makes total sense. Fantastic. Focus on building habits instead of building results, and the results will follow. Fantastic. Low energy has been my biggest challenge to overcome. Well, aren't you going to be happy for the next couple of modules? Super excited. Very, very excited. So, and it says, do habit over time, your results compound, stack becomes exponential because it accelerates. Your results will come faster and faster. Yes. And faster than you know. Like, I'm just super, like, some of the people in the sprint group that we just had, you know some of this. You know some of this just from the results of doing some activity every single day, like in a small way, right? Listening to this dude. But I'm really, really excited to hear the stories that's going to come from this course and this masterclass. So Anna says, emotional state gets attached to what we learn, but remembers and link that to how you learn things. Take notes. Yes. I'm just going to say, do what Anna says. She's amazing. Knowledge is potential power. Yeah, the Tony story. That was not a pretty moment in my life, peeps. That was painful. Yeah. Okay. Love these concepts. Yes. Amazing. Different outcomes. Very exciting. Thank you so much for the inspiration. Well, love you. Thank you. It seems when I press the like or love button, other emojis enter, but it's not me. Oh, okay, Anna. So basically everything you say about me is good. I think that's what you're saying. Amazing. So that's good. Looking forward to the next session. Fantastic. Me too. That's happening in a couple of hours. Need to go now. See you later. Fantastic. See you later, man or girl. Do the permissions thing so I get to see all of you. Okay. Good. What did I write on the left corner? What I wrote down on the left corner here? This, Maria, if you're still here, this is called habit. Habit, result, exponential life. The right corner. Let's see if I can see what you see. So, the right corner. There's nothing here in the right corner. Are you talking about this one? In that case, it says bending reality. I don't have more corners. We'll see. See if that makes sense. Cannot read. No, I explained it. So I know that it's small. Small sometimes. Yes. New things learned. Focus on building habits instead of obsessing with the results. You're so good at well ahead of the game, man or woman. Like, I don't see who it is. So click the link and that way I can see the the video. So the link is like the chat.restream.io/FB. That way I can see all these sort of things. But yeah, when you focus on building habits instead of obsessing with the results, what you're doing is that you're increasing the actual capacity. Like you increase the amount of fuel you can have, and because of that, you have more energy, and now you have actually more potential to get the things done. What most of us try to do is like we're running on empty and we try to do more things. And it's an equation that doesn't really work. Like there's no more to take, if that makes sense. So, and then people make it into a story that they're not enough, and they are. They just like focus on doing a lot of things without having the energy to support them. So, right corner, now Anna's laughing, so I think that means that you like me still, Anna. Very nice. It seems as if you recharge the batteries, it also attracts more of what you love as your higher frequency. Yes. So here's one of the things, Samantha, I love that you said that. I think a lot of people have a lot of different words for it. People go like, oh, manifesting, or they go like high frequency, or they go, if you're super engineering geeky, you go like cause and effect. For me, no matter what you call it, when you get into like a core habit and you build on the exponential life, what happens is things start coming to you because you engage in a different way. You have more energy, so now you do more, and because of that you feel better, and now you're a better dad, and because of that your children feel more safe, and all these sort of things. Like there's this amazing compounding effect that happens. And the consequence of that is that you have more positive sort of feedback from your family and your kids. They like you more because you're awesome, right? And you can be like, well, it's because of my frequency. And I'd be like, sure, like I can call it frequency if I spoke to that. But like my background is in engineering, so the way I like to see it is like you're really, like I think karma is sort of like a good way to look at some of these things too. I don't talk about luck. I talk about you're sending out so many like great things and filling yourself up, and they're taking action, that some of those things start to come back. And then bending reality is really something that happens when as you go faster and faster and faster. Okay, so bending reality is something that happens when the momentum is so high and the awareness and all these sort of things around you that now people just reach out to you. Okay, so yeah, that's what it is. Any other questions? By the way, if you're watching this on replay, please keep asking questions. It's awesome. We get to support each other too. And I want to see your questions. I want to see if this makes sense at all. So if you have more questions, put it down, or any like, was it clear what I want to communicate? Core habit, results, exponential life. Was it clear to you? Did the story make sense? I really hope it did. It was a really good story, and some really sort of the Tony story didn't feel so good, but very valuable. Okay, I want you to have sort of take my suck and you get to make it yours, so you get the same learnings. Samantha says, I liked your story as it illustrated how you change your circumstances. Yes. I love that. Thank you so much. And Maria says, absolutely. Felt clear. Very nice. Very happy to hear that. Sometimes I'm very clear in my head of what I mean because I have my own emotions attached to it. But I'm so happy to hear that it's clear for someone else, because that means that what I feel gets a little bit translated to what it means. Absolutely love that. And also when you change the circumstances, Samantha, I can geek out about this. I'll sort of stop there. If you have questions around that, please put down the questions you have about either core habits or anything going on around habits right now, because I'll be here for another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to duck away because I need to prepare for the next session starting in 2.5 hours, or 2, I guess. 2, 3, 2, 2.5. Amazing stuff. I think what is good stories, makes sense. Well, fantastic, Victoria. And I like that you like my stories. I know you have before in the 6-week sprint, so I appreciate that. Was it clear for you like the difference between 4 p.m. Maria? Was it clear for you the difference between like a morning habit and a core habit? And how you can do a core habit in the morning, but you're really trying to do very different things. Like the morning habit is like activity, 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 right? To get result, result, result. Whereas the core habit is like building the capacity, building the vehicle that's going to get you there. Making sure that you have more and more resources. We have more and more resources, it's easy to execute. So it's almost like a morning habit. You're aiming for the result, and with the core habit, you're building your foundation. And one of the things that I'm most romantic about core habits, that those of you that trained with me before know, is that I believe that is something that gets you home to you, to who you are, so you can be authentic and live you and be weird and awesome, right? But I feel like there's so much energy being wasted with trying to be someone else or do someone else's habit and all these sort of things. So that's really why I come with a little bit different perspective, right? So yeah, it's 4 p.m. Later tonight. So now you get it. So maybe I need to include this in the in the overall course. We'll see. But Victoria, was it clear when we did the training, or was this something that I need to say, that you're doing the morning habit is all about the results, and then here you're building the foundation? Very good that you summarized it just now. Okay, well, great. Then there's something I should probably mention in the next module then. Fantastic. Love the feedback. So keep it coming. Tell me what was clear and what was not. That way I know. And by the way, if you love everything I do, feel free to say that too. But you're helping me a lot by telling me if there are some things that I need to emphasize and be more clear about. There we go. I'm just going to say what you just said here so I can... Great. So we have... Awesome. Thank you so much, peeps. Question, amazing. I love the idea of focus on the energy. It has less, let's see. I love the idea to focus on the energy. It has less emotional charge. Samantha, would you specify that a little bit? I can't quite read that. So I love the idea to focus on the energy. Has less emotional charge. Okay, great. So what you're saying is instead of focusing on going to the gym and so much work, you'd be like, great, how can I increase my energy? Yeah, that is something that just feels good, and there's so many options to do it. And it says we get deeper into bending reality in other modules. I will in module 4 a little bit. I'll go deeper into story and the exponential life, really, which is where I talk about bending reality. When it comes to as it relates to building the core habit will take people there. But as far as taking someone from not having a habit to having their core habit in place, it's a tiny bit outside of the scope of this course. Maria has a question. The morning habit is part of the core habit. Say more. Fantastic. Great question, Maria. So the core habit is something I might do a anywho. So let's see. The core habit is something you can do in the morning, but essentially the morning habit. When people talk about morning habits, they talk about great things to do in the morning, like going for a jog or journaling or doing meditation or something like that. That is part of someone's morning routine. So they call that a morning habit. When people talk about morning habits in general, they typically refer to some kind of ritual that people do in the morning. Every day I'm doing this thing. And it's typically something that's been recommended by, a trainer or an influencer or a thought leader or a successful person or something like that. Now, what happens if you have kids and you can't do it in the morning though? Then there's no morning ritual, right? And I know people personally that goes I'd love to have a morning ritual, but there's no space. I care for the kids at 4 a.m. when they wake up, and then they're and then they go well, I guess I can't have a morning habit. So the core habit is something that you can do at any time, and it's also aiming to a different, you're trying to do different things. So the core habit is all about increasing your capacity, so getting you more energy. You get emotionally stronger. You're more clear about what you want. You are more certain. You're less stressed. You're more grateful, etc. And it all depends on what you want to have as components of your core habit. For me, the things that because you've heard it from me before, Maria, that I started out with, if I can get more energy day by day, and I can feel better, like work on my emotions, right? And get like stronger, more certain, all these sort of things. And I can come up with 3 things to do, 3 outcomes for the day. For me, that's a kick-ass core habit. I can do that in 15 minutes. It's amazing. It's so good. And the stick rate is just astronomically good. Okay. The reason that's a core habit is because I build my energy, I build my emotions, and I work on my focus to make sure that I'm more effective that day. Now, is that everything I could put into a core habit? No. But if someone did that, they would have compounding results in their life. They would like have an exponential life, because there's just the side effect of getting more energy, like more and more energy, of getting more stronger emotionally, and also being more focused, so they're more effective with your time. So it's like this massive compounding, because you have a stronger push with more alignment, while being more precise. So like with 15 minutes, yeah, you can make that happen for sure. So was that clear, Maria, or are there more? Is it like you need a better example of what we're talking about in terms of like a core habit and what it could look like? In that case, ask for it, and I'll deliver. I shall to deliver. And if you're on here, by the way, like there's a couple of you I don't think I've heard from. So like, say where you're from and say who you are, and I get to see it. And if you were part of the live screening, super clear. Maria, you're such a badass. Very good. Happy to hear. Happy to hear. And super clear with like, for those of you that don't know Maria, she's very like artsy. She's fantastic with like, yeah, she's very good. Cool, so I'm about to jump off. If you have any more questions, you can keep posting them in the chat. So the recordings of this will be up in the respective groups until midnight tonight. Then they'll be taken down. So everyone has a chance to see them live or the day of, right? But then after that, they will be taken away. So for the people still on here, still listening, if there are people that you think could benefit from some more energy or some emotional strength, or just like they have a couple of pounds to lose, or they want to gain weight, or whatever that is, invite them and show them this. And if they like this first module, they're going to have one hell of a time. And if they don't, great, then you've tried. But chances are that there are more people out here than are on here live and that are part of the group that could benefit. And what I've sort of given people here is an opportunity to do the full course for free. And come Monday, this is going to be a paid product. So I'm excited for that. So Anna asks, you've mentioned components in a core habit and what you choose them to be. You've mentioned your own 3: energy, emotions, outcomes. Are there other components you can mention as examples? There is, Anna. I'm a little bit careful to go too far into the quote unquote finished product yet. And I'll tell you why. Because then people will try to do the full thing. And the full thing is not how you get there. We'll cover that in the next couple of days, especially, or in this afternoon session, you'll see the big picture of what we're trying to do. The problem with, and that's the same thing, like if people ask me, like, Henrik, what's your core habit right now? I will flat out not tell you. Because if I tell you, some people will start shooting for that. And that's not how I got there. So if you want the core habit that is in my life right now, you need to walk the path that I took to get there, if that makes sense. And the way to do that is to do it in steps, because then you can do it with almost no resistance, super high stick rate. You get to loving your habits super quick, and that changes everything. Like absolutely everything. Like the amount of effort it takes for me to get you to do more of something you like is like non-existent. You'd probably do it if I wasn't there, because you like it. So my job is to help you like it. Right? Where other people go like, do the thing, like accountability. I'll be like, I don't want that, because I'm not going to be around all the time. So Samantha says, great idea. Focusing on moving to create more energy seems like a great idea, rather than focusing on losing weight by going to the gym and on my own limiting beliefs. It's always all or nothing with the gym for me. Thank you. Samantha, I so appreciate you saying that. It's 100%. And what you just mentioned is a great key to the game, which is like we make it so all or nothing and so big. And it's such a high wall that we need to clear, and we need to clear it all the time, that it makes it really hard for us to create a habit we like. If we had a habit we like, like was that weight loss, losing weight, right? So the weight loss is just a consequence of that. It takes a habit to build a habit. Well, sort of, I guess. I'll give you the strategy. I think of it as a strategy. But if I just jump straight into the strategy and you wouldn't understand this and where we're going with that, you know what people would do? Let's take the big grand new shiny thing and then like, do it, and sometimes like miss the point. Because the point to Samantha's point is that when she's focusing on anything that increases her energy, that's going to be great for her life. It's going to make her feel better. It's going to make it easier. And even if she wanted to go to the gym and all these sort of things, like now she has more energy to do so. So we'll talk about that a whole lot more later today, and then also tomorrow in a big way, where we'll be talking about getting over the hump. And a question for you: how do you get over the hump? I'll see that a little bit. I'll see it for you. And to Anna's point, we'll be talking more about the exponential life and bending reality and all these sort of things in module 4, I think. And we get to delve a little bit deeper into like some secrets to exponential life. So Anna says, cannot see Samantha's question in this thread. Well, so for Anna, there is people that see this through different mediums. This is on Facebook, this is on YouTube. So what happens is that I see all of your comments, but I see them no matter what they come in from. So that's why. But she's here. Samantha's great too. Like, you're very active with your questions. I love that. And you know how fun it is to actually teach with you here versus doing it, by myself, like looking into a camera, sort of like, it's no fun. No fun. So tell me, what's the one thing you learned the most in this call? And then I'm going to call it, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a break. What's the one thing that was most valuable in this training, in this first module? Otherwise, I'll end up telling you what I think is most important. But tell me what you found was more important. Like, I want some light bulbs to go off here for a couple of people. That's really the big idea here. I'm not trying to, and this is a big point. Maybe I should make that point too. I'm not trying to get people better at building habits. I'm trying to make them do something very different. Okay, so like all the push and you have to be better. No need. We won't be doing the same things anyway, right? But yeah. I think one of the biggest misconceptions too is that there's all kinds of research that it takes 21 days or 44 days or 66 days to form a habit. But that's like research on mice, on how long it takes to form a connection in the brain. That doesn't mean it's a great idea to do something for 21 days. That's really hard. It's a terrible idea. Why is it a terrible idea? Do you know? Because it's the stick rate is not there. Right? So Victoria says you just have to start, make it easy to start with. Yes, Victoria, and I 100% agree. We'll talk about that more today. When you're out already doing something, say you're out for a walk, say you're out for a 15-minute walk, and you like it. It feels, it feels great. You're listening to music, do whatever you do. All you do is you're out walking, you're enjoying it. How hard do you think it is for me, even on the first day, as you're walking, to like, can you walk another 5 minutes? The resistance there is going to be pretty damn low, right? So by making it like too big before, like once you're in movement, building habits is really simple. It's like, how do you get in the game? Ba-bam, ba-bam. And how do you do with that, quote unquote, getting sore? You know how you can get like sore in the muscles? You can also be like mentally sore from like trying to do too much. So let's see, do not focus on the result, but the way, the vehicle to get there. Build habit over time, stacking, difference between morning and core habit. Anna, you learned so much. Yes, I absolutely love that. So yeah. And then Victoria says they have to start, make it easy to start with. Yes, if you get in the game and you win early, it's easy to keep winning. Okay, if you make it like, okay, here's secrets for only the people that are here for the Q&A. Okay, you want to hear some secrets? If you don't want to hear some secrets, I'm not going to tell some secrets. Okay, I'll keep reading. But if you want some secrets, you better like tell me you want some secrets. So Freddie says, research on mice. Yes, of course, not a mouse. I have choice. Yes, you have choice. And also, I think that the biggest thing was the first thing you said, like you're not a mouse. So, there's there's that. And I think the biggest thing with the whole 21 days and all these sort of things is like, I'll tell you a story tomorrow or in the next session about a friend of mine, a girl that did a boot camp. So you get to hear the story later this afternoon. I don't want to spoil it for you, but she was very much focused on this, on getting the result. And she did. And then she stopped because she hated it. So she got the result, and then within a month, she was back on the same place again after working really, really, really hard. It's not how you win, not how you win. So Victoria says, I want the secrets. Freddie says, I want this. Okay, great. If you want to hear the secrets, I'll tell you the secrets. Let's see if I can get back to what I actually was talking about that. Yeah, but the secret is like when you, I'll tell you one of the secrets. How do you get over the hump? Do you have some hints, by the way? Like, how do you get over the hump? Freddie says, how come all your stories of only friends are female? Just asking. Well, probably because I don't have other friends. No. I think like women are probably more open about some of these things. And guys don't talk as much except for this dude. This is probably why. I have more stories. And for some reason, like, even if you looked in the 6-week sprint group, like, there's more women. Maybe they'll like my hat. That's probably why. But some of the secrets, like, how do you get over the hump? Right? Like, if I asked you to, let's start a habit. Let's get into shape, everyone. Okay, so Freddie says, like, get leverage. That's one way, right? So Freddie, let me ask you this, because you know all about leverage and all these sort of things. Let's exercise, you and me. We're going to run a marathon. We're going to start tomorrow. Okay? We're going to run a marathon, you and I. And would you say that running a marathon is a pretty high wall? Like the hump is pretty big? Like with enough leverage, could you do it? You probably could. Like with enough leverage, you can do anything. Leverage, for those of you that don't know, is simply like motivations, or with strong enough reasons, you'll do it. Right? But if I told you, be like, let's get into the habit of becoming a runner. We're gonna, we're gonna run a marathon a day for the next 30 days. Why? Because that's how you build habits, right? If I want to run far, I should probably run a marathon tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day. So Fred says, yes, hi, with enough leverage I could. Yes. So, and here's also why it's hard sometimes to stick with habits. With a wall that high, the resistance for you actually getting in and doing it, it's so high. And what you have to work with is like super strong leverage. And basically, in a way, probably more likely than not, whipping yourself, like painful reasons why you have to do it now. Okay? Even if you did it, you'd probably be sore the next day. You probably wouldn't like the process. And for me, what I care about more than anything is very much how they create conflict within you. Because if you're going to beat yourself up all the time, it doesn't feel good. But like the relationship with yourself doesn't feel good. Because you're forcing yourself, in essence, to do something you really don't want to do. Which is different from like, I don't feel like it right now. Which is like, lazy mode or procrastinating or something like that. But when you keep whipping yourself, there's going to have some adverse effects in other areas of your life. So, and one of the things that I think you've realized if you're part of the 6-week sprint group is that some people just came out and you're just like nicer to yourself. I love that. I think that's amazing, by the way. There's nothing not humble about being nice to yourself. Yeah, Anna says it was nice, a really nice round repetition for some of your sprint teachings. Thank you. Helpful to get back to core a bit. Yeah, like the core, Anna, is a big part of my teaching. It's not something I really hear. People talk about like be yourself, whatever the hell that means. And everybody agrees that it's a good idea, but not everyone knows sort of what it means or how to get there. And one of the reasons for that, I heard this just the other day, I thought it was brilliant. There's a man, Gabor Mate, who, old family therapist and brilliant guy. he says that like when we as we grow up, when we're really young, there's really two basic needs that we need, and we need like love and connection, like for our survival, right? If mom or dad is not there, we're gonna die as a baby. So we need the love and connection. It's hardwired into us. And the second thing we need when we're young is authenticity. And I'll be like, that just sounds weird. Like kids don't know about authenticity. And I'll be like, well, but kids are pretty authentic, right? Like they have a strong need to express where they are, what they want, all these sort of things. If you have kids, I think that you'd agree that your kids are pretty authentic when they're young, right? Yeah. And he asked a really interesting question. Like, when you grow up, what happens if you're taught or you learn in school or with your parents that by being authentic, you won't get the connection? Example, you're in school, and what if you laugh in the way that you like to laugh, someone teases you for it? What happens then? Ooh, right? That's what a lot of us do, and then we learn like we can't be so authentic, right? Because then we won't get loved. So, we don't. But now there's a gap between what you really feel like and what you're really expressing. And what most people feel, and one of the reasons why people get so exhausted, is that they play this role, or like this role, this like where they can't be authentic. Because here's the biggest energy hack, you guys. When you're authentic, it's effortless. Some things you used to think of as really heavy, when you're being authentic, effortless. Now, is that the same thing and be like, just be authentic? No, because people don't know what it means and they're not in the habit of it. Samantha says conflict with identity. Yeah. Freddie says that's pain at the deepest level. Yes, Freddie. You know that I've felt that too. You've heard some of my stories. Samantha, I don't think that you have heard some of my stories. You might in a couple of days. But let's just say that there's a reason, like when I talk about core and when I talk about like your own like center of gravity, like your own DNA, some of the things is just part of you. It was part of you when you were young. It's part of you now. It's going to be part of you when you're 80, right? That place where you can be authentic from, which is the same place as like your gut feel is connected to. It's the same place that lets you know if something is right or wrong. Or it's the same place that recognizes the conflict between like, here's what I think I should do, but I'm afraid to do it. Okay? The thing that you think you should do is like the information that is like core driven, right? And then we have a bunch of stuff in the way. But one of the reasons why I'm so big on core is that, it's not core muscles, by the way, so don't get like funny. But for me, that's the source of it all. That's the source of unlimited energy. That's the source of great relationships. Because if you put someone else there to run the show, someone's going to be attracted to the person you put out, and it won't be you. It's a big deal. People go like, I need to fix my relationship. I'll be like, maybe, or you just need to start being authentic. Because you know what will happen if you become authentic? Either they won't like it and sort of leave, or like you're really not a good match when you're being yourself. Or they're gonna see you be authentic. They're gonna see like, oh, here's where you really are, and they'll adapt to that. And that way, relationships can be sort of, when I say like effortless, there's still the place of like the greatest joys and pains and all these sort of things. But like, you can go from relationships being really tricky to really simple, really fast. And you make it so much easier for your partner too. They know where you are. They have the opportunity to help you, but there will be clarity there. Okay? So it takes less energy for you, it helps your partner, and it sort of gives them permission to be open too. And we have two people being themselves in a relationship and loving each other. That's a pretty cool idea. Now we're talking. It takes almost no energy, but the energy it gives is like nuclear. Like it's big. It's so good. That all comes from core, and it's all part of the exponential life. Okay, so what makes, now we're on a little bit of a rant. If you have questions about this, like put them down. But with the exponential life, there's a couple of things that I do a little bit different. I'm more focused on like building the foundation, having the foundation be stronger and stronger and stronger, because it makes it really easy to get the results. I'm less concerned with if that is really you. If you like a weird type of music, like, do that and be loud about it. Because what that will do is that the people that don't like that about you or with you, maybe they're not your people. But the people that like you when you're being yourself, isn't that a cool group of people? So, it's not an overnight thing. But what I will say is that and for the people that know, I had 3 years of suck before I got a semblance of this. And it's called The Day I Lost Everything. And I won't be telling that story here in this course, but it's, for you to, explore. If you want to hear it, you can join the 6-week sprint group. It's in there somewhere. But I'm big on the core. It's something that is also, I believe it moves someone from a place of like, they have to do all the time. They have to like execute and do this and plan, to like they get to be themselves. And inborn in that is just lots of energy, congruency. Anyhow, so that's what I think. Thank you so much for all your questions. Penitipes, yes, we form talents, and this is authentic of what we experience, are rewarded, not rewarded. Very interesting subject. Thank you. Well, and I appreciate that. You'll hear more about that, and I think you have that from. I have my style and some of the things I put up a large amount of importance to. For me, if you're in the personal development space and you're trying to, become better, become someone else, I did that for a long time, for years. For me, that was a big waste of my time. Or waste of my, I can be all positive about it, but like, I was trying to build a person that I was not. But now I did it in the personal development space, so now it's like better. Here, I was still trying to do the right thing, what people expected of me, have successful beliefs and all these sort of things, right? Now, what I care more about is like, what would help you, like where you are? What's the beliefs that would make it easy for you to win, right? Those beliefs I'm very interested in. I have zero interest in like the beliefs that you should have at all. Don't care. And the way that you know is by the result, right? You take it on and it feels good. Feels good, it's easy to execute on. Great, do that. You do it not because it's the right thing to do, but because it feels good. It feels good to you, it feels good to your system. And all of a sudden you see the conflict that you used to have with yourself and all the you have to push yourself or resist yourself so much. You see that like fade away because you start to become really good friends. It's a really, it's a cool trick. It's a cool trick for sure. it's a lot of years where I wasn't very like nice to myself. A lot of resistance, a lot of sort of, if I want to go faster, I need to push harder. And doing something I didn't want to do. Now, there's something to be said for, grit and all these sort of things. But what I'm saying is that there's a way to do that without whipping yourself and causing yourself pain or conflict. There's a way to tap into another part of yourself that is aligning. And if you think of like the other person, like your core as like another person, like your relationship with yourself, like, as two people. Now you have two people driving in the same direction. And your friend is stronger than you, by the way. It's a pretty cool trick to, get the stronger friend to help pushing, right? It's really good. So anyhow, that's what I'll say about that. In the next session, we'll cover perfect habit strategy, which is really like, how do you get there? And why does the old way sort of not work at all, or for most people? Or for it to work, there needs to be like a high amount of willpower to do it. And is there an easier way to do it? That's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to do it better, we're going to do it easier, and it's going to be low friction and high stick versus high friction and low stick. Okay. Hope you're excited. I still see that a whole bunch of you are live. If you're here live, super excited, very happy. Keep adding questions because I'll see this and I'll see all the questions. I want to address them even as I'm not here live. So if you're watching this on replay, like put down all your questions. Tell me what was amazing and tell me what was like, this was a little bit confusing to me. That way I know what to do for the next sesh. Okay. So with that, I will see you in 2 hours and 22 minutes. So thank you so much for being here and being here with me. So I'll see you in a little bit. Take care.